Good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of All Know Better. This is the main podcast. It's amazing to me that we're actually in season 5. It really is. It just it seems like it's been forever and no time at all at once. It's a bit strange.
Yeah.
I'm Gilly, your host for this evening, and I am joined by Karl. How are you doing, Karl?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks. You?
Yeah, not so bad. And I'm joined by Luke as well. How are you doing?
Phantasmagorical.
One of your favourite words, then. And I believe you were on last night as well with Smarty, weren't you? So two nights in a row.
Yeah, 2 nights in a row, back at it. I feel like, do you know what, before last night, it felt like I hadn't been on for a while. So I'm sure the second part of the season probably sees a little bit more of me for all you fans.
Right, we'll get an intro going and then we'll get into it.
Hi, this is Don Matteo, and you are listening to the Ought to Know Better podcast. Let's do this.
Leeds are shit. We're recording, you know.
Oh, shit.
We're the good start. I don't think we've got the personnel.
You can fucking laugh all you want, you absolute fella.
I think about things. That's why you lot are idiots.
A melted version of a dick that's been shrink wrapped.
The absolute elite shithousery of this. Elite shithousery. So we'll get right into it. So we'll talk Sheffield Wednesday first, and then we'll come on to predictions from that. So, Luke, you had your say last night. I'll hold my hand up. I'll be honest. I've not been able to listen back to it yet. So, and I want in the comments.
Neither has anybody else.
So, Carl did. You were there.
I was in the comments.
Yeah, but I'll come to you first, Karl. Just for your say on it. Just thinking about now, there's been a couple of days since the game. How are you feeling about the game overall? How did you feel at the end of the game, and looking back now, has that changed?
It was a weird game, really. Like, it, by all intents and purposes, we dominated the game, but it didn't feel like it was a 3-0 game. You know what I mean? I think we would have been, accepting of a 2-0 win, but I think a 3-0 win didn't flatter us by any means.
I'd have taken a 2-0, Karl.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. But like I said, it was just a weird one because we did look in control, but then there was elements of it where we looked like we could they could break quite quickly. That number 41 on the wing for them, he was a good player for them. And every time he got on the ball, I was kind of in panic mode a little bit, because he was very direct when he got on the ball, and he definitely gave our defense a few issues at times. And then there was a couple of instances in the first half where I think there was maybe 1 or 2 balls played directly down the middle of the centre backs from midfield, and it looked a bit all at sea, only for Ampadu to rescue one of them, and your man to kind of balloon it wide with the others. So we were lucky in that sense. And I think if we continue to dominate teams the way we do at home, and even if it's a scrappy 1-0 win, I've got to the point now where I'm just not going to complain about it now. We're never going to see a manager at Leeds like Bielsa and that kind of football. So we may as well just start enjoying what we're doing. And just stop fucking whinging about, it's boring, it's this, it's that. It's like, look, we're top scorers in the division. We're second on goals conceded, only behind Burnley. They can't score for fucking peanuts. Sheffield United are playing tonight. By all accounts, they looked absolute garbage in the first 25 minutes, and Swansea should have had a penalty. Like, why can't we just start enjoying it? Like, the game against Sheffield Wednesday had good spells. I just think, I'm just at the point now where I'm like, I'm just going to start enjoying it, like enjoying the football and try and, it's a possession-based game. That's what he wants. So whether you like it or not, if you find it boring, Jay's been on the verge of fucking jumping off the top step in the Peacock a few times, like, you know what I mean? And
that's like the Eiffel Tower to anybody else.
Yeah, that's
could jump off bottom step, couldn't he?
Yeah. But like, to say that you I don't know. It's just I enjoyed the game on Sunday. And I'm just going to start going into them with the same attitude. I'm not going to look at it going, boring football. Like, there's lads behind me and they're always going, play the ball, Leeds. And I'm like, lads, we have the fucking ball. The other team are running after it. That's that's fucking grand. Chill. We're not doing what Yap Stam did when he came here with, who was it? Leicester. Reading. And he just passed the ball to death around the back four. At least we get into positions where we intentionally try to get it forward and create something. It's just, I'm just going to, like I said, I'm just going to start enjoying it now. So I did enjoy the game on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow night as well. Apparently Norwich, we'll get on to them later, but they've got about 10 fucking players out, so that's all good.
Yeah, we'll come on to it. We will come on to it. They had a couple of chances, didn't they, at 1-0? I thought Melia made, so there were one, I think the one that you're mentioning about Ampadu where he saved it was a bit of a crash tackle in the box. Now, I love that sort of tackle. Luke, I've seen a couple of comments from their fans, which, to be fair, let's be honest, there'll be a bit of bias towards it, but a couple of comments from their fans saying that should be a penalty because of the follow-through. I think that's a perfect tackle, the one by Ampadu in our box. What we all take?
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke to one of my best mates is a Wednesday fan, so...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I spoke to him almost immediately after the game as I was driving, and we had a good half-hour chat, and I sort of in a nutshell, pretty much what Karl said. Look, it was 3-0, but it weren't a 3-0 game. Sheffield Wednesday came, they had a game plan, and it wasn't that similar to teams that have had success here over the season and last season since Farkas been in charge. So they came and actually wanted to play a bit of football, and it was quite nice to see. And they almost got the reward, as you say, they almost got the rewards for that. Ampadu challenge, absolutely fine, great challenge, no follow. If you're going to make a slide tackle, there is going to be a certain level of follow through. Naturally, if you're sliding, the momentum's going to carry you through. It's how you sort of maintain that momentum. And if he'd have carried on with his feet up, absolutely, potentially calls for a penalty. But he's not. He's gone straight through. Both feet down. He's won the ball. There's no complaints from any of their players, not a single player.
Yeah, that's telling, isn't it?
Yeah, and especially not from Windass as well. Really, really composed performance from Ampadu, I thought. And look, whilst we know his preferred positions in the centre of the park, it just shows how much strength we've got in depth that we can actually move Ampadu out, arguably one of our most important and best players, out of position into their second favourite position, and we can bring somebody in like Joe Rothwell, who had a fantastic game, and obviously his ball through led to our first goal.
Yeah, no, I mean that was a brilliant ball, but yeah, I thought he played well, and then there was that chance that flashed across the goal, and Meslier got to it and put it round the post. It's one of those where you expect it was a good save, but you expect Meslier to make that. It wasn't somebody running through on goal at front post. It was one of the ones that you kind of expect Meslier to make. So it's a strange one, isn't it? Because that's more difficult than quite a few of the ones he's let in this season. But he made it. Karl, I'll come back to you for this one. I think we all know that if he's fit, he's going to start the next game. I don't think there's much question about that, because if he came back in for the last one, he's going to stay in now. Has he done enough to take some of the heat off, bearing in mind that just before the FA Cup game and when there was a change made in between the sticks, we'd had the issue where, as Jay pointed out, if there was no keeper in goal at all at that point in time, they don't score, but they did because Meslier were there and he dropped the ball at their feet. We then had the FA Cup, somebody else was in there, and then we've come back to the league, somebody else has gone in. So as long as there's no fitness issue, he's going to be in goal against Norwich. I don't think there's any two ways about it. But has he done enough in that game for people to go, do you know what? Let's support him. Let's not give him any shit. Or is there going to be a meltdown when the team comes out tomorrow and Mellier's in there?
There'll always be a meltdown around something. We're Leeds fans, and that's just the way we are. I think it was a game of swings and roundabouts for Meslier on Sunday, because in the first half he kind of flapped at one or two, and then in the second half, he seemed to be more calm when it was passed back to him on the ball. you could see his confidence was growing, and he did make that save, which, let's be honest, is a bit of a standard save. Their keeper made one similar in the first half. So I think the overall game, look, it wasn't a difficult game for him by any means. He made it difficult with the flap. But I think, I think as a Leeds United player, I think we should always just fucking get behind him, let's be honest, because the one man who's picking the team ain't going to change the keeper because of what we think and what we moan and bitch about. So I think if he's between the sticks, if the players in front of him have enough confidence to be able to play the ball to him in certain scenarios and situations, then I think we should just sit there and be like, right, okay, that's sound. And this isn't me being a happy clapper in any way at all. It's just a kind of realisation that no matter what we say about anything, Fark's going to do what he wants to do, and we may as well just get behind the team and just fucking support them.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair, and it's all a game of opinions anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that is fair. So if we consider the starting lineup, then there were question mark or not, because I think we'd all said that we expected Meslier to start, but there were a bit of a question mark based on the fact that he'd not played in the cup. And then the strike news. Luke, you're absolutely right to say that we can move our captain and one of our most important players from one position to another, and it's almost seamless. How much do you think the strike injury? I mean, it's 3 weeks, but it was 3 weeks last season, I seem to recall, and it ended up being 3 months. How much does his loss impact us, given how good Ampadu can be in that position? And and with Gruev coming back into the squad and being available in the midfield.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't think it impacts us all that much because, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head there. It happened last season. Look, Stroik is an absolute fantastic centre-back at this level. However, so is Ampadu. And I think, realistically, can we bring in some... I think we've got to look at it sort of slightly differently, because can we improve on Ampadu in either of those positions than what we've got now? So the answer to me is no. We're not going to bring a better centre-back in than Ampadu.
Yeah, agreed.
To replace Stroik. And we're not going to bring a better central midfielder in than Ampadu or Rothwell or Gruev or Tanaka. So for me, it doesn't make the world of difference for us right now. It's not the most important, I wouldn't say. Do we need some backup? Probably, because if Ampadu then gets injured or Rodon then gets injured, then we're down to quite bare bones again. We've got Voba, and then we're relying on people like Debayo. But are we going to bring somebody in who's going to improve our 11? Probably not. So if we do bring somebody in, I very much expect it's somebody who's not going to, he's not going to set the world on fire. Nobody's going to be overly impressed with the signing. I think it's going to be somebody who can play there and do a job. In the absence of another injury or a suspension. So yeah, I'm not overly concerned for now, but I think, yeah, if Stroik's injury does tend, I mean, if like you say, it was 3 weeks last year, it ended up being, I think didn't come back till March, April time. So yeah, that does concern me slightly, that the level of backup we've got in terms of centre backs, because Gilavugi played there in the cup, didn't look great, although he's played there previously. So we're then relying on Debayo, who's not played much first-team football, and Voba, who, well, he can either be really good or really shit, can't he? Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
We saw both against Borough this season, actually, didn't we? In the first game against Borough, we were absolutely woeful. Then when he came into the side in the league game, I think it was, he had a really good game. I don't know whether a lot of that might be down to first off mentality, because he were coming back after his loan in that first Borough. I think that was his first home start, wasn't it? That Borough game when he was really poor. So that bit hanging over him, he got booed onto the pitch. His name was booed when it was read out. So that might have affected him. But equally, fitness, he's had his own question marks there, hasn't he? I think I would be okay with things if it seemed that DeBayo was trusted by Farke, which there's a big question mark on that, because there's been opportunities to play him that he's not taken. And if Gilavogi had a bit of a better game because he was playing against League Two opposition, and he looked like he was struggling for large stretches, didn't he? And you're right, he has played. He's looked handy when he's come on in midfield, and he's played deep in midfield. He's not needed any legs, and he's had Rodon behind him and whatever else. So maybe it'd just be a bit of looking after him in that position. But I think it is fair to say that we're looking a bit light there. I just wonder, with Schmidt looking like he might get a look in at some point, does Byron become an option at centre half?
I think with square pegs round holes with that. I don't think Byron's a centre back. I think Richard Hogan hits the nail on the head here. A Gilavugi type signing, somebody who's got experience, somebody who can add something to the group, and not necessarily be the world's best footballer, but will be happy to sit on the bench and almost. And I say this with the greatest respect, but be a bit of a cheerleader and get the lads up for it. I'm not overly concerned because Ampadu's had his fair share of injuries, but I think for that position specifically, I think Verba could come in and do a job at centre back for us. I genuinely do, certainly at this level. But we have got a tough run of fixtures coming up over the next 5 or 6. So hopefully Ampadu can stay fresh and hopefully, fingers crossed, Strike's injury isn't as serious as we all predict.
Or even fear.
Oh yeah, fear. Not even predict, I suppose, because they've said 3 weeks. But yeah, like we say, it's we've been here before with Paddy, with Gruev, even with Ampadu, and Ampadu came back early in November, didn't he? We weren't expecting to see him until the new year. So they can put a time scale on these things, but ultimately it's when the player's right. So
yeah, no, that's fair. Just sticking with Sheffield Wednesday just for now. Karl, I just wanted to come back. Luke, you might have covered this already last night. I just wanted to come back and just ask you who your man of the match was, who you felt had the best performance. I'm guessing it wasn't the ref.
Absolutely fucking not. I don't even think Jimmy the ref could convince us that the ref was doing his job in some form or another correctly there on Sunday. Jesus Christ. I'd probably have to go Solomon, if I'm being honest. I know Ampadu got the TV man of the match, but I think I was quite critical of Solomon when he first came back into the fold. He was quite slow getting up to speed, and I just thought, Jesus, this isn't the player that got injured that we'd seen prior to the injury. And then the last 3-4 games, like Swansea, he was absolutely brilliant in that game as well. So I'd probably have to give it to Solomon, if I'm honest. He was very creative. There was a lot of overlapping done, which was really good, because he was kind of strangled a bit by Byram's inability to get ahead of him. So he was trying to get in behind his man on a regular occasion. So overall, I think he probably had twice the work to do that Dan James had, because he had Bogle on the overlap and could kind of sit and let Bogle go. So on that basis, and the fact that he got a goal and he did run his head off, to be fair, I'd have given it to him.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Luke, same question. Man at man.
Smarty actually picked my man of the match out, so I went for somebody different. But initially, I probably would have gone for Bogle. I thought he was really good down the right hand side, overlapping, creating runs, but for a couple of stray passes from James and actually from Rothwell and Tanaka, he would have been in a couple of times when he was overlapping. They just didn't track him very well. He was losing his man quite often. He was cutting inside. He played really, really well. But I actually went for Tanaka again because of his goal and just the sheer arrogance, I suppose, to try that when you could have hit it with the left foot. But it's 96 minutes. Ball's coming at you pretty quick. What do? Just give it a little canoe flick.
And it was lovely, wasn't it? It was sexy finish, that.
Yeah.
I did see a couple of tweets online saying that it were lucky. He absolutely meant that. There's no two ways about it in my mind. He absolutely meant that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's come at him quick, so maybe that's what they meant more than anything else. So I'm struggling to disagree with either of yours. And actually, I think I was. If Bogle had played in the second half quite as well as he had in the first, I think Bogle would have taken it. And Solomon just shaded it in front of Bogle for me, so I will go Solomon as well. So, Norwich then. No, actually, we'll do that actually when we come to Norwich. We're gonna talk about up front and what we think the changes might be, but we'll do that when we actually come on to Norwich. What I'm going to do it in a minute. I'm just going to spin through some starred comments, because what I always forget to do is do the comments at this point, and then we do them at the end, and they're all about this game, and it feels all wrong. So I'm just going to spin through a couple that you guys have starred for me. Thank you very much. So Paul Brennan's in the house. What we have to do is win promotion in the top two. Let's enjoy this season. Ipswich got smashed against the Citizens at home. At least they're winning and scored 51 goals, for fuck's sake. I think that echoes your point, really, doesn't it, Karl? Of we are pretty good, so let's just enjoy being good. And so I think it is the same point. And I'm just going to pop something up that I captured. That was something that Betfair did. So what they said, Betfred, sorry. Leeds United have scored 51 league goals so far this season, more than any other side across England's top two divisions. Leeds are scoring for Farke again, which I quite liked. So, Luke, I'm going to come to you for this one. I don't know if you've seen it, but Joe tweeted something out about Burnley and about their goal scoring record and how poor it is. So I think they're 20th in the division in terms of goals scored, or potentially XG. I don't know which it is.
No, goals scored.
Was it goals scored? I don't know. Anyway, but their attacking prowess is very, very poor, albeit they are towards the top of the division. So we're outscoring everybody. Just in terms of which your preference is. I mean, we're talking about, I say we, our fan base seems to think that Farke ball's boring, but we're outscoring everybody. So that's quite difficult to rationalise in my mind, even though for large stretches when it were 1-0 and you're thinking, fucking hell, it is only 1-0. It were 1-0 up to what? When did Ramazan score? 88th minute? 87th minute? So there's always that thing of, is there going to be a sting in the tail? We talked about Ampadu making a good challenge. We talked about Melia making a good save. There was the possibility that they would get something on the break, just because football sometimes does that. In the end, we've run out. We've run out a 3-0 win, and it didn't feel like a 3-0, but we are efficient at getting goals and we are efficient at getting results, and that's what's put us at the top of the table. Bearing in mind the old quote, and I know he's a scumbag, but the old quote that Taggart used to say about goals win your games, but defences win your titles. Luke, where would you want to be? Do you want to be the one that's conceded no goals at all, like Burnley, and that's what's got them up there? Or do you want to be the one that's a bit more attacking? It's got that verve, that swagger. We've got very, very good wingers in the side, and it's a bit of an embarrassment of riches that we've got on the wings at the minute. Which are you preferring? They're not going to go anywhere unless they lose their keeper. They're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to drop away. If our goals dry up, then we might struggle. But which side of the fence would you want to be on that one?
So a couple of things there. First of all, Burnley have now signed Ashley Barnes and John Joe Shelby, so their goals are going to fly up. I expect them to be near the top now, because John Joe Shelby is bound to score at least one from the halfway line and be labelled as the best player the Championship's ever seen. And then the other thing was, it's worth noting that you mentioned there about the fan base and the expectations that actually. We have got an embarrassment of riches, but they're still kicking off and moaning about the transfer market, that we need to strengthen in particular positions because he hasn't got a strong enough squad. So then they're almost contradicting themselves, because what they're saying is Farke has got the best team in Championship history, and then they're saying we need a stronger squad to actually get promoted. So I honestly don't know where we stand as a fan base sometimes, and it does my head in a bit. But in terms specifically of what you ask, I think it's a mixture of the two, and I think ultimately it comes down to goal difference. There was a and look, we're no statisticians on here, and we don't tend to rely much on data. We just rely on dark fruits and our own eyes after a few beers.
It is tonight for me.
But if you look, there was a table, or not even a table, similar to a table, came out the other day, and we were in a league of our own, went for X.
Was it a graph?
And A graph. It was a graph. That's exactly what it was.
Gilly's just gone.
It's been a while since I've done GCSE maths. So we were in a league of our own when it came to conceding goals, the amount of goals we should concede and the amount of goals we should score. We were absolutely out in an absolute table of a graph of our own. But yeah, I think just keep doing what we're doing. I think ultimately we've had our fair share of goals go against us that probably shouldn't have gone in, and we've also not taken as many chances as potentially we should have done as well. So I think I'd rather watch us scoring goals. I think somebody said we're the highest scorers in the top 2 divisions. Was that what that quote that Farker just said? Is that?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it were Farker that were quoted. I did see it. No, that's right. That was the Betfred one. Hang on.
Yeah, they are the highest scorers. That's right.
More than any other side across England's top 2 divisions. Yeah, that's right.
So I'd rather, as a fan, going, a match paying and anybody watches even tell it. As a fan, you want to see plenty of goals, but ultimately you don't want to be conceding. And where we are, we've got the 3rd best defensive record. I'm winning, we're miles ahead in terms of goals scored. So I think where we are is probably exactly where I'd want to be, if I'm honest, Gilly.
Good stuff.
Do you know what, lads? Just to finish on that point as well, it's like,
yeah,
we've absolutely told Ipswich enjoy the journey because the destination is shite. and we have fans at the moment complaining, and when we go up they're just going to be miserable for the next 2 seasons, like this season and next season, and it's like, would you not just enjoy it this season? We all know it's going to be a bit of a fucking struggle next year perhaps, and why just be fucking miserable about it? Just look at it. It's not that bad to watch. Like,
you can clip this. You can clip this. Here's my prediction: should we get promoted, Mateo Joseph gets loaned out. We do absolutely abysmal in terms of goals scored. All of Twitter says we should never have loaned Mateo Joseph out. You watch. I promise you, that's what's going to happen. I can see it now. See it in the stars.
Even though between us all, we know that he's not ready. Because to expect him to go from let's be honest, stop-start season and not getting the goals he would have wanted to get in the Championship, he's not going to be ready next season for a Premier League.
Unless he has who knows? He might have an absolutely emphatic end to the season and come up with 10, 15 goals, a couple of hat tricks, whatever, and we'll all eat our words and say, look, it wasn't ready the first half of the season, but maybe he is now.
Yeah, but that would have been more frustrating, wouldn't it? Because we were all saying he should have got more minutes towards the end of last season, which would have more prepared him this season.
Yeah.
So, no, that's fair. And, Ipswich, they're in the bottom 3. It's not looking great for any of the sides that got promoted, is it? But it is a point where we need to try and enjoy the journey and not the destination for that very reason. I think a lot of it comes from the fear that, the hangover of last season, the fear of if we don't, then what? In terms of finances, in terms of the players going, Tanaka was a miracle signing, really. I don't think anybody can have expected him to do as well as he did, especially for the value. And we'll probably be, get 10 times the value of him, or near as damn near. It'll be a big money move if he goes. But those players will leave because if we don't get promoted, we can't just expect to hold on to them all. So I think a lot of it comes from fear rather than logic in terms of it. And I'm one of them. I am a logical person until it comes to football. And when it comes to football, I'm 87 minutes in and I'm shitting myself.
Yeah, and I get that as well. Like, but at the moment, because we're scoring loads of goals, like we've all made very valid points as to why we all should be enjoying it at the moment. You know what I mean? The only downside we've said is when we go up, it could be absolute garbage. Like, let's just, let's not focus on how fucked we might be if we don't go up. Let's just enjoy it for now. Let's just fuck it.
Ultimately, that's it, isn't it? It is trying to focus on that. So, no, I think they're all fair points. Back to some of the comments. So FB White says centre-back in a 10 were cooking. Farker were open about wanting a 10 at the start of the season. We didn't go, whether it was a genuine bid to try and go get somebody from Sheffield United or whether that was just to try and unsettle them and piss off old Hamface or not is another ham sandwich face is another matter. I don't know whether that were genuine or not, but I think Farker were open about wanting somebody in that role. we've scored the most goals, so it's not hurting us that much that we didn't sign someone. But maybe it's that. Maybe it's the expectation that the manager wanted a player, and that's why people are slightly melting down. I think centre back. Nobody's mentioning going and signing a centre back if Stroik doesn't have an injury.
Yeah,
and if the club are confident about that 3 weeks, rather than it being it could be 3 weeks, it could be a month and a half. Only then do I think you need to go and get a squad player, because I personally think Byram could fill in, and it would be square pegs round holes. I'm not saying it'd be anything else, but he could fill in there. I think Gruev could fill in at centre back. He's got the kind of right makeup to his game. He's not the quickest, but he can read the passages of play well enough. So I think there's enough in the squad to get us over that. In terms of centre back, if the club are confident that from Stroik's position it's not going to run like it did, like we've seen prior. Somebody starred this one. I wasn't going to mention it because I thought he was fucking arse again. I thought he was fucking awful, but I didn't think he was any worse than he's been in any of the games he's played prior. Does anybody want to say whether Aronson had a great game or not? Karl, you're laughing. Go on, Luke.
He didn't have a great game by his standards. I think he's been. But I disagree with you over the course of the season. I think he's been instrumental to how well we've performed as a team this year. Obviously, chipped in with a fair few goals as well. And despite how poor he was at the weekend, if not for him, we wouldn't have scored that first goal.
I mean, he did touch ball. But yeah,
he didn't really force the goalkeeper into the mistake.
Yeah, but he didn't pull out either. I think there was talk of him pulling out at some point, and I was like, no, he's not pulled out.
He doesn't make that run, then the keeper collects that comfortably. And if he's not in front of the keeper, if he's not putting that pressure on, the keeper picks that up really easily.
Keeper's bottled it.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, and nobody says that he don't run. Some people say that's all he does. But
7 goals and 3 assists. Say otherwise, though.
I started because I wanted to see your reaction.
It's 3 assists.
I thought it were only 2.
I could be wrong.
Could give him the one from Sunday as well. There
you can fuck off. He didn't touch the
ball. It was the catalyst as to why the goalkeeper didn't get it. So
a pre-assist. Let's call it a pre-assist.
Yeah.
A premature assist.
It's like a gimme in golf. Give me that
right.
one. Yeah.
We're gonna park that and leave it.
It is 2 assists. Although
it is 2 assists.
It should have
games.
It should have had 4 by now if the player he passed it to had finished the ball. Probably the other 2 were Mateo Joseph.
Paul Atkinson. I'll come to you for this one, Luke. Do you think Solomon's injury opens the door for Ramazani and he will take some shifting if he progresses as he is?
I hope so. Because I think Solomon's been really, really good since he came back from his first hamstring injury earlier on in the season. If Ramazani can hit anything like the levels we've seen from Solomon since then, it's going to be great. It's good. It's that potential to competition for places is what we need. We saw it between Dan James and Nonto last season on the opposite side. Unfortunately, not seen much of it this season in terms of competition, because I think James has played really, really well in the majority of games that he's been given, and Nonto's not really taken many of the opportunities. So yeah, if we can get those two battling for one position and really strutting the stuff when they get given the opportunity, then we could be in for a fun second part of the season.
Is Solomon injured again?
Potentially, yeah. They're waiting for a scan on his hamstring.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Right, okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah,
Ramazani's back,
and he scored in consecutive games now, hasn't he? He got one against Harrogate, a header, shortest man on pitch, and then got himself one. So, and I don't know if you remember, it was disallowed. I can't remember if it were offside or the ball had just gone over the dead ball line or something. But there were one where he were outside the 6-yard box, but really tight at touchline, and they smashed it in off underside at bar. He wasn't allowed because I think the whistle had already gone, but he's got a finish on him. So, if he gets into right positions, he's going to score some goals. It looks well. So, I think so. I equally was frustrated about Solomon when he came back into the side. He did look lethargic. He looked leggy. And he didn't look like he was putting the effort in, which was the frustration for me. Because if they're working through that, you can forgive them a little bit of rustiness once they've been injured. But if they don't look like they're working hard, that's when, as Leeds fans, as a fan base, I think we get frustrated. But he seems to, and what I said at the time was, Calvin Phillips seemed to come back into the side and just be the player that he was before he got injured. But some players just don't. They take some time to get back up to it. He got back up to it, and that's the frustration. And if it's going to be stop-start all season, we're going to have to get used to that. I think Paul's right, though. I think Ramazani might take some shifting, if he gets a good run in the side. Darlow should have played versus Wednesday, waiting the next mistake. Our defence doesn't trust him. Karl, I think I came to you last on this one, so Luke, I'll come to you on this one. In terms of Meslier, in terms of whether Darlow should have played or not, it's in the past. He didn't. For me, I think it was the mistake element of it, of how damaging is that if Meslier comes straight back in. If he'd have made a mistake against Wednesday, it would have gambled, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a gamble, and look, one that could have quite easily gone against Farker and the situation that is bizarrely in with a small percentage of the fan base. But look, he's got to be brave. At the end of the day, Daniel Farker sees them all in training day in, day out. We get to see 90 minutes or 180 minutes if we're lucky a week, and unfortunately, Meslier, as he is a bit of a calamity, but goalkeepers are. I mean, you would show me one goalkeeper who doesn't make a stupid mistake. I've never seen a goalkeeper not make every. I was watching the Masters, the snooker on Sunday or Monday. I can't remember. Sunday, I think it was when I got back in the evening, and there was Women's Super League on. And it was City against Scum. Women's Super League, and literally from the kickoff, the goalkeeper made an absolute howler. Look, we're talking women's football. I don't watch it very often, but I flicked it on while the Masters went to a break at the end of a frame or whatever. I've seen Edison make them at City, plenty of them as well, and he cost I don't know how much. I've seen Alisson make them. Look, we see Meslier make them more often because we watch Meslier more often, and goalkeepers do make them. They're nutters. Nobody wants to be a goalkeeper. You have to grow up being an absolute nutter to be a goalkeeper anyway, and have be a bit weird in that. So I just think stick with him and stick with the squad. Stick with Farker's decisions. He's not put us wrong yet. Look, could we be a few more points in front of this stage of this season? But for Meslier, probably. But we're not. So just get on. Let's just crack on. Yeah,
we can't change what's gone. That one at Sunderland will live in the memory long, won't it? But we can't change what's gone.
Nigel Martin made one similar. I'm sure it was Nigel Martin in Europe to what Meslier.
I remember Robbo making one where it bounced over his foot.
Robbo.
It kind of bobbled and bounced over his foot.
This was a different one.
There was Sanchez last night. Sanchez last night for Chelsea was like a fucking seagull. He was flapping for Wolves' first goal. Like, so, keepers up and down the country, no matter what level they're at, are going to have days like that. It's that simple. It's the way it is.
And it hurts you more because of the nature of the position.
And do you know what
they make a mistake, and it's a goal or a very good chance.
Yeah, what it is for me, I think it's very, with Meslier is I think he's got the ability. Look at him in the promotion season, the first season in the Premier League when we got promoted under Marcelo. We saw how capable he is. I think it's completely down to his what's in there at the moment. His confidence is completely shot. He needs a new start. We need a new start. It's not going to happen in this window. We've got what we've got. Get on with it.
Yeah. I think if Queefer, whatever his name is,
Kelleher.
If he becomes available in summer, somebody that's of a Premier League standard, and Meslier gets a chance somewhere else to have that fresh start, I still see him having a big future. I really do, because I think he's got it. It just, for whatever reason, it's not been working for him. But we've seen him play well in the past, so I guess that's a frustration. Michael Pollard says, we did Ampadu in at left centre-back last season. It left a hole in our midfield. Even Rodon preferred him in midfield.
I started this one.
So, I'll come to you for it then.
The reason is it's purely as simple as this. We didn't have a very strong backup in midfield last season. And it's as easy as that. We've got 3-4 ready-made central midfielders that can all come in and do a job, and a slightly different job to Ampadu as well. We've got Gruev coming back, we've got Tanaka, we've got Gilavugi who can play a bit part, and then obviously we've got Ampadu and Rothwell as well. So more than enough competence in the centre of the park for me. That's the difference between this and last season. It doesn't leave a big hole anymore. I
completely agree with you, Luke. That was one of my kind of thoughts in it as well, when people were saying, oh no, we're going to revert back to this, but we've got far better players to cover in the centre of midfield, like Luke was saying, this year than we did last year. Even with Ampadu, I know it was pure accident we found out about Rodon and Tanaka, like, let's be honest, but even with Rodon and
Rothwell and Tanaka.
Excuse me, Rothwell and Tanaka, it's pure accident, but it's worked out in our favour now, because we do have an option like that where it can work out quite well, as opposed to going, shite, these two in midfield now, very similar, one doesn't want to do that, but the other, and you're like,
well, Ampadu and Gruev were almost carbon copies of each other last season, if you remember. They both did a very similar job, dropped him into the centre-back role almost as a quarterback and tried spraying it out, and now we've got different options. Tanaka likes to move around, he gets forward. We've got Rothwell, who's a very, very good range of passing on him, which offers something different. So whilst we're taking Ampadu out of that limelight and out of his favoured position into the centre-back, we've got all these different makeups of central midfielders, which actually benefit the team in various different ways.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, it's been great to watch, to be fair. Like, so that's the only reason we're getting away with it this season.
Yeah, well, I don't think we'd have seen anything like as much of. Well, I think we can probably say we definitely wouldn't have seen as much of Rothwell and Tanaka, certainly together, if it had not been for Ampadu and Gruev being out for a period. I don't think he'd have done it, and we'd have all gone mad if he had. If he'd have dropped Ampadu and played them two in the middle, we'd have gone mad. So we have seen. So I think it's that's the fact, is that they've played enough together for us to be confident that they can do a job. While Ampadu is needed at centre back, and I agree. And the only backup really that we had in midfield last season, if Ampadu was at centre back, we had Kamara and Gruev in midfield. So the only backup really that we had at that point was Archie, who was needed at right back because Connor Roberts were injured. Yeah. Ayling had left. We weren't in a strong. We tried. Was it only last season that we had Jed Spence as well at the start of the season, and then that went sour really quickly. It looked really good for about 10 minutes the first time he came on, and he got back to that chance that everybody went.
Sheffield Wednesday.
Ayling wouldn't have made it back for that. Yeah, well, you're right. But so we had lots of issues at right back last season, and Archie had to play there because it was the only real consistency that we had. So we are very much. Yeah, we are very much in a different position in central midfield, and that's why I'm not worried in the same way. Yeah. Arthur Bushby, somebody starred this. Aston Villa Barcelona goalkeepers made mistakes tonight. Is that meant to be Szczesny?
Yeah, that's just a bit of an elaboration on the Melia point. We've already been.
Oh, right. Okay. As in, I will try to work out who's moved from Villa to Barca or Barca to Villa. They both have, he's saying.
Yes,
I think. Yeah. Right. Yeah, fair. And Skip says, if we get promoted and the opportunity comes up in the summer to sign Rothwell and Solomon, do the club do it? Karl, I'm going to ask you about Rothwell. Do the club sign Rothwell if we go up? If they've got a chance to and everything works out.
I think he'd be a good signing as cover.
That's not a yes or a no to a yes or a no question.
No, go get better.
Okay. Luke, I'm going to ask you about Solomon.
Yes.
If the opportunity's there, you think the club would
obviously it depends on finances and what they're asking for each of these players, salaries, that sort of thing. So I imagine Solomon's on a decent crack at Spurs as well. Yeah. So, but if it's just a simple question as if we get the opportunity and the finances work and everything else falls into place, do we sign them? Yes. I'd sign them both, by the way. Yeah, I'd sign them both.
And if he maintains his fitness, because if he's in for 2 games and then out for 4 and then in for 3 and then out for 2, there's too many question marks going into a Premier League season for that, then, isn't there?
Yeah, I wouldn't for a second think Rothwell will be starting for us in the Premier League, but I think I agree with Karl in that he provides a different alternative, and he can, in at that level, those central midfielders do work a lot harder defensively, and they will be working a lot harder, any of our midfielders next year defensively. So there will be some tired legs out there, just a different option.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But yeah, all I was saying there is Solomon needs to prove that level of fitness, doesn't he? So if he gets back, if he's got injured this time, but he gets back mid-February, and then from February to the end of the season remains injury-free, then you'd think that the club could potentially take a punt. But you're right; he's going to be on big wages, and there's going to be a signing fee. He's not going to come particularly cheap, because I think he is rated. It's only his injury record that's the question mark. So might be a difficult one. But thank you for the question. Right, so I'm going to move us forward, and we're going to get into a little bit of this. Oh no, hang on a minute. Sorry, I've completely screwed the pooch on that, haven't I? We've got to do a little bit of this first. I completely forgot.
Auto know better predictions.
This is around 45 minutes in, like.
Yeah. So we're going back. So Luke's doing pretty well on this one. I was doing pretty well, and I've dropped 3 places by virtue of only getting 1 point. So we've got so I've popped up the current league table, but for those listening on the audio pod, Lee Fryer is top on 42, and Luke's just behind him on 41. Lockie, Jay, also from Auto Bear, and Joe from the Just Joe show, all got maximum points this time round. So it's 42-41, then Lockie on 38, Jay on 33, Joe on 33, and I've moved from 31 to 32 and dropped 3 places. It's all a little bit tight up there. Big Lou is on 19 points. And there is one person missing, because Bryn should be in there, and I always forget to put him in because he didn't throw his hat into the ring until after I'd made the spreadsheet, so I've got to do it manually because I broke it when I tried to put him in, so I had to undo it all. Bryn's somewhere in mid-table. But the fans also got full points this time round as well, so well done to... he's been in the comments. I did make a note of his name, and I've completely forgotten it. FV something or other. I can't see his name now, but that's who predicted for the fans last week, and they got maximum points. So they're also firmly in mid-table as well. Going through it, actually, Stats had predicted 4 different occasions for the same game. He'd gone 2-1, 2-0, 6-1, and then gone, no, I mean 2-1. So he got 2-1 anyway, because that was his first one. Right, so I'm just going to move us on to one of our favourite little bits, this, because we also get to hear a little bit of Bren.
Hey, has got a shit tick this week, my little sparrow-fact.
We like it. We do like it. Karl, can I come to you for this one? Because I think you've been putting some stuff in the in the branding for us so that we can take a look.
I think I have, yeah.
And Luke, if you could be so kind as to put a poll up, if that'd be okay.
I can put what? Will Mateus Klitsch do? Bogus?
What?
He does
if
this
you like,
all the time as
A
well.
poll or a poll?
A poll.
I thought
A
you said a
YouTube
poll.
A poll. Put up a poll. So we've got 3
Take it
here
away, Karl.
anyway. Yeah, we've got 3 here anyway. This is from a Hull City fan account. He knows Leeds are falling apart again in relation to them signing young Joffrey Geldhart. I work with someone who supports Hull home and away, and even she didn't agree with this. So so that's a shit take of the week 1.
on that one. It's taking that view of it. It's almost like they're saying, well, he's chosen to leave. He's gone because he's not getting picked.
Yeah.
It's not a choice.
No, that's it. Yeah. It's not that he knows. It's just that he didn't have a choice. So, yeah, that's number 1. This one I saw during the week. Now, I'm not, it's just one of these. It's I'll have to make the screen big here now, lads. Sorry, the old eyesight's a bit bad.
I can read it out if you need.
Yeah, would you, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So Zovic has said, take Rafinha and strike out, and this team finishes like 10th in the championship. So Matt Leeds, that's been on here a few times, primarily on BNCs, has put up a picture that he'd taken of the squad. So the lineup is Melier, Ayling, Stroik, Cooper, Alioski, Phillips, Rafinha, Click, Dallas, Harrison, and Bamford. And bear in mind, the majority of that side finished 9th in the Premier League, but now it finishes 10th in the Championship, which is some take.
Let's be honest.
Rafinha was a big player for us. Let's not get it twisted. He was a massive player for us, but still, you know, that.
Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Those players did pretty well for us.
Well, like, take Rafinha out of that team, and that's the team that got us promoted. And all you've done is add Rafinha to that team, and we finished 9th. So this Zovic guy, I think he's on the wind-up all the time, this fucking chap.
Helder Costa, that's the only difference. Helder Costa played on the right instead of Raf.
Yeah, that's it. Good spot, Luke. But yeah, I think that's a terrible take. Well, it's a shit take. Like I don't know what point he's trying to make there. Like, is he saying that team is shit and they're no hopers?
Do you know what it just emphasizes? It just emphasizes for me this new age of fan, doesn't it? I don't know what the third shit take of the week is, so I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't think it is what I think it is anyway. So I'm just going to say it. But there was a guy saying yesterday that he's never hated a Leeds manager as much as Daniel Farke, which just goes to show that there's this new age of fan that have got it come here basically since, or supported Leeds, or they're of an age where they didn't really care about Leeds since, you know, Bielsa came in. So they've got, some of our fans just seem to have very, very short memories and shit memories to go with it.
Yes, and that's why they're in shit take of the week.
Welcome.
Right, so are you sorting out the poll there, yeah?
Yeah, there's one more, I think.
There is indeed. So it's this one. This is from Side Before Self on Twitter. It's good and big, lads. I can read this one. The day Farke leaves the club, I'm booking a holiday to celebrate, holding this great squad of players back with his obvious lack of tactical ability. Nice guy, awful manager. Now, I wanted to foot this one here, right? You go and book yourself a holiday and give your ticket up to someone else. Because I replied to this guy and I said, this isn't a very side before self attitude that you proclaim that your handle is. So this guy, I don't know how anyone's going to vote in the poll.
It's live. The poll's live, by the way.
But I'm putting this absolute shite talk down. Because scored 59 goals, conceded 31, played grand football. I don't know. I just think this guy is having a fucking laugh. He's like that Zovic lad or whatever the bleeding hell his name is. But yeah, I think that's probably my worst take of the week, if I'm honest. But what do you think of that, lads?
I agree. That would be mine, I think.
Yeah,
I think the worst bit of it is the name. Side before self, but I'm going to book a holiday to celebrate when our manager gets sacked.
Yeah.
That's not a side before self take, really, is it?
No. This is why it's a shit take. So, get voting on the poll there. And as you're well aware, that is how shit take of the week generally goes. I'm trying to find the banner. But they've moved everything around. Oh, there it is. Yeah, nice one.
Hey-o, has got a shit tick this week, my little sparrow-fact.
They've moved the menu around on the side there. I haven't been on for a couple of weeks.
So yeah, so the shit take of the week is live. We've got Joffrey Mauled by the Tigers, rah rah rah. We've got top half Prem but mid-table champ, and then we've got holiday for Farke. So get your votes in, and we'll revisit that before we finish.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah. So that brings us quite nicely on to Norwich. So we look at them at the moment. You know, they 20 points behind us in the league. They're in mid-table. I think if you look at their record so far this season, I think they've won, drawn, and lost the same number of games. Oh, here Ward says Joffrey scored tonight. Do you know what? I'm pleased for him.
Yeah,
I am as well.
I'm pleased for him. So, but yeah, if you look at Norwich, they've played 27, they've won 9, drawn 9, lost 9. So it's hit and miss for them. That they've won 3 in the last 6, but if you look at our home form, we're unbeaten in the last 6, but if you look at our home form, it's pretty incredible. Our away form, if you remember, it felt really patchy, and there were we went to Millwall, went to Blackburn. There were a couple. Swansea we got lucky at, for my mind. We got a little bit out of jail. We won, but we got a little bit out of jail on that one for me. And it felt really patchy, but at the time, actually, if you went and looked, we were still in the top 6 just on away form. So it's a really difficult one, really to piece together. But we are at home. I don't know if you've seen what their injury list looks like, but the update from their manager today is actually their injuries are unchanged. They're not expecting to bring anybody back. Luke, one of the things that when people have criticised this team, albeit scoring all of the goals and albeit at the top of the table, it's been actually a question of jeopardy at times. It's felt boring because there's not been much jeopardy in the game, which actually means that Leeds and Farke are doing the right job, because their job is to take jeopardy out of the game and win games well. Do you feel any jeopardy going into this one?
Not particularly. I think I went down there. I think we played them on a Tuesday night earlier on in the season away at their place, and I think it was 1-1 if I remember rightly. I can't remember exactly, so my memory's a bit shocking. And I also remember I think we should have had a penalty or two, and that was with their strongest squad. Science was playing. They had a
Sargent.
Arguably, yeah. So they were in a position, but I think they actually played Sargent injured against us. I think he was carrying a knock, if I remember rightly. But it's one of them. I think we have to be looking to win this game and win it quite comfortably. They're in some decent form, but you look at the teams they've played. They've beaten Luton away, Coventry at home, and Millwall at home, and drawn with QPR recently. Lost to Sunderland and Burnley, and lost to Sheffield United recently as well. So it's not going to be as easy as we think, but I think we've got to be going in the position we are, and the squad available to us in comparison. The fact that we picked up a point down there with their best squad available, we've got to be going in to win this. I half expect they might be coming to spoil. I know their coach, is it Thrupp or something like that.
Thorup or something. I don't know how it's pronounced. It's written
Thorup.
Yeah.
Like Thorup.
So we went down there. I'm almost sure we were pretty much robbed at 1-1 as well from my very vague memory. But
why was that, Luke?
but yeah, I think we have to be going there and to Ellen Road on the only thing that does concern me slightly is that we have picked up a couple of knocks. Aronson's a doubt, so who's going to play in the 10? We've got obviously Solomon a doubt and Struyken. They're three starters for us. So providing we can play somebody in the 10, I would be looking at Willie Nonto personally, and not spoiling the setup too much and moving Pirro out of position and all that sort of rubbish. Yeah. I think for me, we should probably start Ramazani on the left. We probably start Ampadu again at centre back, and I would be looking at Willie Nonto to start in the 10
with James on right,
with Dan James starting on the right. That does limit our options from the bench in terms of width, though, somewhat drastically. However, if we go 4-0 up, who cares who comes on off the bench? Bring bloody bring Eddie Gray on for the last 10 minutes for me.
The other thing as well, Luke, you meant.
Yeah, go on, Carl.
So the other thing you mentioned there is we might be a bit light on the bench for wingers. There's always the kind of option to potentially, if Willie does play the 10, he's probably not going to be doing as much running as he would out wide, where he'd be more looking to find the space in the pockets and stuff like that. No, just hear me out for a second, man.
I'm just dropping one in on Gilly, not you, don't you worry.
I know.
Right,
I'm not lying.
So maybe it could be an option to if James or Ramazani, actually, he's probably just coming back from injury. So if he's starting to blow a little bit towards the 70-minute mark, you could always move Willie out wide right or wide left, and then maybe push Tanaka or Rothwell up into the 10. And then bring Gruev on as a holding midfielder with either Tanaka or Rothwell there to support. So I think we are limited, but there's ways we can move it round without actually affecting how we're playing too much, you know.
How have we heard how long if Firpo? What's happening with his injury? Is he due back anytime soon?
He's back on the bench. There's probably talk, I'd say, because Byram's done 2 90-minute games now, so
and it's a midweek.
So he might choose to rest Byram with Burnley again now on the following Monday as well, you know.
And Willie Nonto was actually the man of the match against him. I'm just looking back now. Willie Nonto scored against them at their place. Man got man of the match according to SofaScore. I mean, I don't know, that doesn't mean much because whoever scores gets more points and everything. But Gruev and Tanaka were central midfielders. It looks like Ampadu, was he already injured by that game then?
That's the game that Gruev got injured in, and then Rothwell came in for
and Ampadu was injured before Gruev, wasn't he?
He was already injured. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. I do remember.
Yeah, because that was a case of, Jesus, what are these two going to be like in the middle? And then it was like, what the fuck are these two going to be like in the middle?
Sorry, Ramazani scored.
Oh, he did. He got that nice one. Yeah.
Yes.
It was a nice little assist down the side of the 18-yard box for him, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, no. And so Firpo was on the bench, wasn't he, at the weekend? So you'd expect that it'd be at a certain level of fitness by now, but equally Schmidt played it against Harrogate, so there's options at fullback. Schmidt might even be an option on the wing if we need to bring somebody from the bench and he doesn't want to change it up much through the centre. You are right, Karl, about Nonto, because one of the things I were going to say is, well, he's quite happy to drop Pirro in at 10 if he's bringing Joseph on and play the pair of them. So there are options. If Ramazani gets to 65, 70 minutes and he's knackered, then there are some options. We've seen Schmidt come on on the wing, haven't we? It just doesn't seem to rate him at full back.
I've liked what I've seen of Schmidt so far. He's got an assist for Peru, you know what I mean, and he's not done badly by any means. I think he's granted his first full 90 minutes was against a League One side, but that's not to say that you can ever take the opposition for granted, because that game wasn't comfortable for us at all. Like they proper had a go, you know. So I think unless he's taking Fark's cat away for the weekend or something like that and not giving it back, but I don't know what else. I don't know.
Chatting his slippers or shagged his missus.
Yeah, one of them. It's just it's like there does seem to be a good player there, and he's willing to get forward. And like you said, Gilly, he is a good option on the wing as well.
Yeah, and there's just a bit of a stat bomb on BBC website. So Leeds are unbeaten across past 5 league games against Norwich, 1-4, drawn 1. Norwich have won only 2 of their past 11 away league games against us. We haven't lost any of our midweek league games at home since going back into the Championship. Although did draw last such game 1-1 with Blackburn. So we've won 7 and drawn 2 of our home midweek league games since relegation from the Premier League. We haven't been beaten at home during week.
That's all right.
Norwich were unbeaten in their past 4 midweek league games, winning 3 of them, 1-3, drawn 1. But Dan James has provided 4 assists in his last 6 games against Norwich, including one in both previous matches for Leeds at Ellen Road. So he might be a danger man, and he's going to play. One of the frustrations, and I didn't mention it when we were talking Wednesday, but one of the frustrations about the game for me was the fact that James looked lively throughout the entire game, and not a single ball was played in front of him to run onto. Mm. They were all played directly to him or just behind him. There were a couple of times when somebody broke through in midfield and had to play a quick ball, and you kind of get that. But not once would he actually played in with that ball that he really wants to run onto. So that
Do you know what I'd like to see? Do you know what I'd really like to see sometimes is actually James and Bogle swapping positions, and hear me out, with ball at feet in home games when we've got a lot of the ball. Bogle takes the right midfield position up and it's played into Bogle, and then James does the overlap. I just think we'd have a lot of success with that.
Yeah.
Because Bogle's good at it, but he's not as quick as Dan James, is he?
I like both your points there as well. And one of the things that I noticed about Dan James was that because he wasn't getting those balls down the wing or in behind, he was forced to take players on, and he was actually quite good when he got anywhere near the box. They were terrified to touch him, and I think maybe if we can kind of harness that a little bit more, again, like you were saying, Luke, it gives us a different option then as well. You can have Bogle doing the right wing work and have James doing the overlapping as well. So I think as we go along throughout this season, we're kind of seeing different elements of how the starting 11 could fit and work quite well, and that side of the pitch is definitely one of them.
Yeah, no, fair point. Just a couple of comments. Roland Butternubs, welcome along, Roland. Not sure what happened with Joff. It's like you're caught making fun of Fark's accent or something. It's a bit of a strange one because you'd have thought that with the rotation that he's happy with and the fact that James has had a period out with injury, Solomon has had a couple now, Ramazani's been injured, Nonto early on in the season had a knock and missed a handful of games. You'd think that he would have been able to work, and Joseph not firing, Pirro, our top scorer, but people are saying, not quite at it. A lot of his goals came from the bench, and you would think that given all of that and all of that movement, that somebody like Joffrey might have been kicking the door down and going, "Come on, give me a game." So I can really understand him moving, and like we all said, wishing well, hope it works out for him. Karl, is it a surprise that he's not had a look in at all?
It is a little bit like we all saw that he had qualities there that could definitely fit into a side that plays the way we play, and like the manager of Hull has come out and said the reason he wanted Joffrey is because he's got that aggression going forward, and he likes him on the press, and he likes him on the the counter and the counter press, and that's all stuff that he's obviously been doing at Leeds for the last 2 years, 3 years maybe, and for him to not be able to get an opportunity is quite disappointing because he came in with a great kind of name for himself already as a youngster, and he's got a few important goals but just never really kicked on from there. And I think the turmoil of the Jesse Marsh era and then the couple of managers thereafter, I think that has definitely stifled his progression. And I think he was getting more opportunities under Bielsa in the sense that he might not have been getting long on the pitch, but he was definitely getting more than he has been over the last, prior to Bielsa going, after Bielsa going.
Do you know what else has probably stifled it? The absolute expectation from the Football Manager Online elite group that said, this kid is going to be better than Wayne Rooney. And the expectation's there then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
the expectation's there. And look, we've seen how good he can be. And we know he's a fantastic... He's got had fantastic potential, but there's something gone wrong somewhere, and I don't think it's as simple as Farke not liking him. I think in terms of the type of football we play, we even said under Bielsa, under Marsh, under everybody, what is his best position? Because we didn't know. Yeah. He'd come on and score a goal, or he'd strike up, or whatever, and you know what I mean. He'd have these moments of magic, and it was clear to see that we had a tidy play on our hands, but we couldn't play him anyway. He wasn't good enough for the 10. He wasn't big enough for the 9. He wasn't fast enough to play out wide. So is that therefore limiting him at this level? And especially for a team that wants to be pushing for promotion, is that why there's lots of other players and options getting there in front of him? And I think that's as simple as you can put it.
I think you've hit a nail on the head. And that not having a position really hampers. It's not like Dallas that can play anywhere and did. It's that he didn't quite fit the mold or the need of the team. So I think you're absolutely right, and I think it really needs somebody to go, this is what I want you to do, this is where I want you to play, and that's going to be your position. You might be in and out of the side, you've got to earn your right to play, but that's where I want you to focus on playing. And until he gets that, and he needs a team that's going to be able to do that, and we can't do that for him. there's too much on the line this
Where did
season.
he play for Hull tonight out of interest? Let's have a quick
They
look.
lost 2-1.
Yeah, well,
No, where on the pitch, I think you were saying.
Where
Yeah.
he played.
Oh,
yeah.
excuse me.
I'm just going to have a quick look now. But yeah, continue. Sorry, Gilly.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Good shout, having a look. It is an interesting one. We genuinely were excited as a fan base. You could feel the excitement as a fan base when he were coming on.
He played in the right of a 4-2-3-1. So he's played as a right winger almost.
Right.
By the looks of it.
He scored as
It'd be
well,
interesting to see whether he were actually playing as a winger or kind of worked as an inside forward.
He only got a rating of 6.9 though, and he scored a goal. So he was one of their worst players, but still got a goal.
Right.
According to SofaScore.
Like.
No.
Yeah.
Playing with Cody Drama as well, obviously.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
I'll ask the girl in work tomorrow how we played. See what the crack is. Get a bit of a rundown.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
She was quite excited to get him in the door. So.
Glad you qualified that one. Moving swiftly on. Ian Ward, I hope one of you remembers why you started this, because he said, just my luck, that fucker will be on the next sunbed next to me.
The guy who's booking a holiday with five.
Fucks off.
Right, yes, I'm with you. Yeah, all you want is that sour puss. He sees you with your Leeds towel, and that's it. You can't get rid of him for a week.
I'll have a Leeds towel with side before self on it, sitting next to him. Be like, there you go, buddy.
Luke, I'm coming to you for this one because the strongest argument anybody puts forward for Aronson to be picked is the level of work he gets through. And you did mention about Nonto playing at 10 if he's not available. Steve Brown says if we start with Perot up top and Nonto at 10, the press will not be great. Against Norwich at home, whether true or not, actually, is it a big factor when we'll dominate so much of the ball at home?
I think I'm going to probably contradict myself here a little slightly, because I think the fact that we do control a lot of the game is because we don't allow teams to play out from the back, and it is due to that press from both wingers and from Aronson. Aronson often is in front of Pirot. If you defensively, he's quite often in front of Pirot, and Pirot does his fair share of pressing. Look, he's no Paddy Bamford in the Premier League season or what, and he doesn't hustle and hassle as far as convincingly as probably Matteo Joseph even does, but he does do it. He does enough to put a defender into a position where he's got to make a decision. Now, can he do that for 90 minutes, and can he do that in an absence of somebody who's probably not going to work as hard behind him, is a good question. And I think Steve Brown probably has hit the nail on the head here, and I think that does concern me. And I hadn't thought about that, if I'm honest with you, because I do think the fact that we do get so much success and we do control a lot of games is because we almost force the team we're playing to hoof it upfield, and we pick it up in the defensive positions, and we'll go again and we'll play the same style and the same patterns of football to get back down their end. But I think a lot of that does come from our attacking press, whether it be from Aronson or Pirot when he decides to do it. So it's difficult. It's a tough one, mate. I hadn't really considered that. I was just thinking, look, we'll get loads of goals and assists, and it won't even need to press all game. But yeah, good question. That leans me to think that he might go Pirot Joseph.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting actually, because the one time I refer to Pirot and his pressing and his ability to press, and the fact that he can do it, he just frustratingly often doesn't, was against Norwich at home when we spanked him in the playoffs. Yeah. He were all over the place. He pressed and harried the entire game, so he's got it in his locker. But I think the frustration for me is that we don't see it enough.
Yeah. Nah. That is the frustration for
me.
But
I don't think he's asked to do that. I think when Aronson's playing behind him, I think Daniel Farke, and this is completely speculation, completely speculating. I don't know. We don't know. We're just a group of lads who watch football once or twice a week. So I think Pirot's has to conserve his energy for in and around the box when the balls come in and score goals. I don't think he's asked to press, like a madman like Bamford did and like Aronson is, because they're players who had engines and they could do it. Pirot isn't that type of player, and we'd be asking him to do something that isn't playing to his strengths, and ultimately he's going to be using probably far more energy than it's worth. But if he just does enough, all he has to do is enough to make a defender make a decision, and that's enough. And then get back over the other side and do it. Do it again. That's. We're not asking him to jump and slide with 2 feet and try and win the ball in the final third, because if they kick the ball out of their defensive area and it go, the Whofield field, 99% of the time it's, Ampadu leans into the player, it goes over his head and Rodon picks it up and we go again.
Yeah.
How often does that happen?
Yeah. No, that and it is fair. So just the last question before we move on to the closing stuff, Karl. If Aronson, given everything that Luke's just said, if Aronson is unavailable, it might be not 100%, so he might be on the bench. But if he's not available to start the game, does that impact us so much that we don't expect that Farke putting onto it and playing behind Pirro, but actually you'll see Joseph come in because he's got that mobility to a level that Pirro hasn't shown this season? So do you think it's more likely Joseph will start if Aronson's not available?
I don't know, because we can sit here and we can ask, we can talk about it all we want. Apparently Farke doesn't have any tactics, so. I'm just going to hope
tactically inept, wasn't he, halfway through the season when we were drawing games and stuff? Wasn't he? Half of the idiots that have never been to a game or sit there on Twitter and tweet throughout the game and that. Tactically inept. Why has he not made subs? It's 70 minutes. 70 minutes in, what's he doing? Don't know what he's up to.
This is the thing. I think either way, Luke makes good points about why it potentially could be Pirro and Joseph, but I still think the best option is Pirro and Nanto in behind. We've seen, we've heard Farke talk spiel about how he was playing Pirro in the 10 last year so that he could come late into the box and pick up on the last loose balls where they might ricochet somewhere. But we haven't seen too much of that. We've seen Pirro be effective in the 9 role. So I think dropping him back and hoping that he starts to pick up playing like a 10 again, I think it's a big ask considering he's been playing in the 9 role for the last number of games and hasn't been asked to drop into. I don't think he's been asked to drop back in there since the Blackburn game. And we all know how that went. It was absolutely shit. So I think that's more detrimental to how we set up. I think dropping Pirro to the 10 role than bringing in Nanto and just leaving Pirro in the 9.
Fair enough. And Luke, have you just had that last comment from Mark Jones?
Yeah, he makes a good point. If they both get injured, we have got no strikers left. But then if Ramazani and Nanto and Nanto and everybody, James get injured, then we've got no wingers. You can't not play somebody just because of the chance of getting injured. You play to the best of your strength.
Horses for courses, isn't it?
Yeah, it's if my uncle had a fanny, he'd be my aunt, sort of thing.
but that's also been true all season, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We've known, all right, Bamford came in last season and we went on the best run the club's had in 93 years or however many it was. But we can't rely on him being fit and available. So it's been true all season that if Pirro and Joseph get injured, we've no strikers. Other than the fact that Joffrey was in and around the squad, but he clearly didn't rate him. So I think he would have probably put Nanto up front if it was
Harry Gregg back on grass.
He is indeed. He is
the saviour.
Okay, so is there anything else that you wanted to mention before I just start bringing things to a close?
No, but we do need to do some predictions.
We do need to do some predictions. And, if only the guy that does predictions was on the pod, eh?
Imagine that. And we also need to do shit take of the week poll result.
Yes.
Auto know better predictions.
I'm top.
You are
3-1 Leeds.
You top between us. Yeah. 3-1, did you say?
3-1 Leeds.
So this will be for Norwich. Luke says 3-1 Leeds.
We've won 3-0, and then I've gone 3-0, and we've won 2-0. So I'm just going to go 3-0.
3-0.
Yeah.
I don't know if you both caught it, but I was in the chat that we'd set up to get the predictions in and I was crowing about the fact that I'd got 5 points without recognising that I'd actually said 3-1 and not 3-0 on the last pod. And it was only after I'd shown off about the fact that I'd got 3-0, even though I hadn't got 3-0, that I realised that I'd gone 3-1. So, yeah, that was bittersweet because all the way through the game, I was absolutely convinced. Before kick-off, all the way through the game, I'm like, fucking hell, we're not going to get another 2 goals here, are we? 88th minute, we score. I'm like, oh, I only need one more.
Comments.
I'd fucked it. I'd actually fucked it.
Jay's
on 2-0 lead
on Saturday because we were 2-0 up until the bleeding 90-odd minute, and then I'd gone 2-0.
You did well there, but we played Sunday.
Oh yeah, even that day, yeah.
I am seeing Top Banana first in the chat. That's 4-1 leads for the fans.
Arthur Bushby is he's really pushing the boat out here at a 5-1.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a shame you didn't.
I've got a lot of injuries.
Arthur is currently watching Benfica versus Barcelona, and it is Benfica
just scored the winner.
5, and Rafa scored the winner.
He's got to be in for the Ballon d'Or this year, hasn't he?
You'd expect.
Yeah, they reckon he's nominated.
Yeah, you'd expect so.
We do a 10 million windfall if they win the Champions League. We get 10 million quid for Raf winning the Champions League.
Yeah, but I still want them to go out of business. So
let them do it after we get 10 million quid.
So I am going 3-0 this time. I have gone 3-0. So it's going to be 3-1.
People have already started putting them in the chat. I hope I haven't put a different one to what I said in there, by the way. That would confuse you, wouldn't it?
Oh, do you already? Oh, it was FVY that got it right for that's who I couldn't remember earlier. That's who got it right for the fans this time round. Okay, thank you very much. And just before the closing statement, Luke, have you got a poll result from the YouTube poll?
I have. So the shit take of the week this week with 55% of the votes. And third place was Joffrey got more by the Tigers, on 21%. Closely followed by top half friend mid-table champ on 24%, and outright winner was Holiday for Farker on 55% of the votes.
Side before self. Wow.
Hey, has got a shit tick this week, my little sparrowfat.
Any excuse to squeeze that in it.
Yeah, I had it prepped and ready there. I was going to do it before Luke started yapping, and I was like, he started now. And then I was like,
yapping. Yapping! Wow.
I was like, Gilly has taken a breath. I'm just going to do it now.
Fine, no problem at all. Right, okay. So, as ever, we finish off with a statement from our friends at Andy's Man Club. If you're going through a storm or have recently been through one and you're a man over 18, perhaps Andy's Man Club Leeds may be able to help you. With venues in Kirkstall, Pudsey, Central Leeds, Beeston, Seacroft and Morley, open 7pm to 9pm every Monday barring bank holidays. There's also weekly and monthly social events with the aim to get men talking and to smash the stigma around men's mental health. Details of the venues and everything they're doing is at Andy's Man Club Leeds Facebook, so give them a follow and help spread the word. Tonight, it's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much, everybody involved in the comments. As ever, it does help us just keep things flowing and keep things moving. I would ask people to smash a like and all the things that the YouTube kids say. And hit follow, do some of that stuff, subscribing and all of that. And do you know what? It really does help us, apparently, with all of the algorithms and everything else. If you go and rate us and give us a bit of a review, you might say, what the fuck's that onion doing with that hat on inside in summer? It doesn't really matter what you say. If you go and say something about us, that does help as well. So thank you very much, everybody, for that. Thank you, Karl and Luke.
When are we back? Thursday for a B&C after Norwich?
Yeah, we'll be back Thursday for a B&C. That nobody knows what's going on because I've not updated the rota yet.
It definitely won't be me because I'm not here. So whoever, if it's meant to be me, somebody better be getting on.
Already dodging it, man, and you're like this is the half of the season that you're meant to be on all the time, and you're.
I'll be with the in-betweeners in Tenerife, knee deep in plunge.
And on that note, thank you very much, all, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.